Tonight marks the start of Week 6 in the AUDL season, a midway point on the 12-week journey. And for both Philadelphia and New York, tonight also arrives with a growing sense of urgency. The Phoenix started 2-0, but now have lost 3 straight, while the defending champion Empire hadn't lost in nearly 2 years before falling short in DC last Friday. Only one of these teams will get back on track tonight as Philly and New York clash for the first time this season. Next.
We welcome you to Focina Field in New Rochelle, to New York, where tonight the Philadelphia Phoenix and New York Empire reacquaint with one another in our DraftKings Free Friday Frisbee Spectacular. The Empire coming off their first loss in well over 1,000 days last weekend against the DC Breeze. We'll see the top 2 teams in the Atlantic tomorrow night down in Atlanta. Right now, New York trying to keep pace and only have 1 loss in this jam-packed Atlantic division. Top 4 make the postseason. Hey, everybody, Evan Lepler with Charlie Eisenhood. He's the editor of UltiWorld, and we're thrilled to have you with us tonight. And look, the Empire are 3-1. They're right in the mix, Charlie, but by their own admission, they have not been all that impressive. What do you want to see from the Empire starting tonight?
I want to see a convincing win. It's not good enough to show up with the best players and just assume that you're going to win. And I think from the Empire this season, at times, it feels like they're trying to coast on their talent instead of really trying to play the game the right way. And it came back to bite them last week. And missing a couple players down in D.C. They lose their first game in a couple of years. And I think it's a good time to lose a game for the Empire because they need a wake-up call now, earlier in the season, because they got to go out there, they got to play better than they have, and I think this is a great chance for them to do that tonight.
They got an angry opponent tonight, too. The Philadelphia Phoenix started the season 2-0, looking really promising, but they've lost their last 3. Sean Mott didn't feel good about the way they played in Pittsburgh last week, but he's optimistic. This team has played the Empire tough the past few years.
Absolutely, and Sean Mott is where it's all going to start. I mean, he's been an offensive dynamo for this team, and really, when you look about this Phoenix team, you just need to see them put it all together over the course of a game. Sometimes it feels like they just lose the mark a little bit for a quarter or a couple of minutes stretch here and there. They have the offensive firepower to compete. Well, the Empire also bring that offensive firepower. Ben Yacht and this offensive line have been fantastic. You look at the numbers that he's been able to put up this season, and, I mean, in most games, he is going to be one of the best players on the field. Very difficult to deal with. The big question for him, maybe a few too many turnovers.
Well, Ben Yacht was the MVP of the league in 2019 when New York won the championship. But even in that year when they went undefeated, only one of their wins was by more than 5 goals. You'd like to see them get a convincing win, but Philadelphia certainly coming to play as the Phoenix begin their doubleheader weekend. They go to Boston tomorrow. Home of the 2019 AUDL champs, Marquez Brownlee in the house tonight, along with the young phenom Nate Little. Jeff Babbitt ready to throw his body around. We're excited for Friday Night Ultimate. One of the ageless veterans of the sport makes his Empire debut here this evening. Opening poll coming up.
The playoffs make every day feel like a win, but with DraftKings, every day is a win. Courtesy of DraftKings Free-to-Play Pools Playoff Edition. Simply make your picks on the featured game of the day. Answer questions like who will cover the spread, which team will score first, and which players will have the most points. If you get enough right, take home your share of $250,000. So download the DraftKings app now. Use the promo code to play free for a share of $250,000 in prizes. And make it rain.
Couple nights ago, it looked like we'd be playing in pouring rain tonight. It is dry at the moment. There are some thunderstorms in the area, remnants of tropical storm that has moved its way up the Atlantic seaboard and impacted lots of folks over the past few days. But we are dry right now. We are ready to start, and the New York Empire will begin this game on offense. They're still missing Connor Klein, but they have Jack Williams and Elliot Chartok back in the lineup tonight Starting 7-0 will be Ryan Osgar, Elliot Chartok, the former MVP Ben Yacht, with Solomon Ruschemeyer-Bailey, Jack Williams, Matt Stevens, and the Empire rookie John Lithio. That has kind of taken the New York scene by storm a little bit with his play, the 6'5" Chicago native.
As if there weren't enough problems to deal with on this Empire offensive line, John Lithio starts this year, comes out, and basically helps them get a win against DC in week 1. And then all of a sudden, everybody's scrambling to figure out how are we going to cover this guy too.
Paul Owens launches the opening pull, the talented youngster out of the University of Pennsylvania. And we are underway, the 22nd all-time meeting between these two franchises. New York has won 20 of the 21 previous matchups. Ryan Oscar downfield for John Lithio. And here's Ben Yacht's first touch. Nate Little's on him. Pretty good string, Charlie, if you can begin Chartok to Oscar to Lithio to Yacht to Williams.
Phoenix just running straight matchup defense and getting worked all the way up the field.
Chartok to Lithio and the Empire striking 35.
Great start for the New York Empire. That's exactly what you want to see if you're the New York coaching staff. Really smart decisions all the way down the field. Nothing hard. Work on the open side. Bounce it around to Chartok, and he sends it smooth into the end zone. Lithio gets on the board early.
Well, Elliot Chartok was a heck of an addition, especially when they realized that they were not going to get Harper Garvey back from the 2019 championship team. He was the quarterback, and Chartok slots in pretty darn nicely. Had a great season in 2018 out on the West Coast for the San Francisco Flamethrowers, and is currently leading the entire AUDL in passing yards right now. Chartok almost 100 yards per game beyond Chris Mazer, who's currently second in that category for the Dallas Roughnecks.
Yeah, averaging a total of 632 yards per game over 3 games. Very impressive, and it's really great for the Empire to be able to fill that role that Garvey played with somebody who's been able to just step right in and deliver.
First offensive possession for the Phoenix. Greg Martin. Oh, that disc might have been tipped by Ryan Drost. Hung on to, though, by Matt Glazer. Here's Mike Arcata, the general manager of the Phoenix. Launches a cross-field flick, and it's a beauty. Glazer runs it down, and Arcata dropped the dime.
Arcata's been one of the best players on this Phoenix offense, and this is going to be one of the keys tonight for the Phoenix. They have to have smooth offensive possessions. It's going to be hard for them to take the disc away from this Empire team. And they only had 4 break chances last week against Pittsburgh, and this is a better offense than what they saw against the Thunderbirds. But that means there's going to be a little more pressure on the offensive line. This is a great way to get it started.
Arcata has developed into a really good player. Tied a career-high 6 assists in the final game of their 2-game trip down south at Atlanta. He's had at least 4 assists in 5 of his last 6 games. And the Phoenix with an excellent response to New York's opening possession. 9 throws on the first possession for New York, 6 on the first possession for Philly. Chartok to Osgar. Charlie, just as Elliot Chartok slotted into that Harper Garvey role, Ryan Osgar downfield does a lot of the same things that Grant Lindsley did a couple years ago when the Empire won the title.
As we see the Empire get on the board again, take the 2-1 lead. That's absolutely right. Osgar, one of the best mids in the game. I think, losing Lindsley, you think, oh, that's going to be a problem. But when you fill his shoes with, the next Grant Lindsley in Ryan Osgar, it ends up looking really good out there. And he's been special all season for the New York Empire.
Osgar had 8 assists in his debut against the DC Breeze. Of course, Jack Williams was the hero that night, catching the buzzer beater. I can't get over the font on Solomon Ruschemeyer-Bailey's jersey. the smallest font I've ever seen. I told him, I wish they had done kind of the rainbow where they curved the name.
Or stack the name?
Yeah, put Ruschemeyer above Bailey. But no, he said they had to go like 3-point size font to get it in there. Marquez Brownlee back in the lineup, and banged up. I believe a hamstring injury kept him out of New York's game in D.C. last week. Alex Thorne, Dustin Damiano, the handlers. Here's Greg Martin. Damiano. Fires. Mott has to get the referee out of the way, but he's in the back of the end zone and shows off the wheels. And Philly has so far matched New York's offense throw for throw.
And a crossfield huck again. They're finding that space on the far side. Beautiful inside backhand. Sean Mott so fast. If you give him a half step, he's gone. Averaging about 2 goals a game, 3 assists, and just eating up the yardage. And there's just nothing but room over there. A lot of trust. Mott brings it down.
10th assist of the year for Dustin Damiano, who's become more and more important to the Philadelphia offense, coordinated by Nate Venditta. He's technically the assistant coach for the Phoenix. David Hampson is the head coach. And they did something really interesting. In the past, Hampson orchestrated the offense and Venditta would lead the defense. And they decided coming into this season to switch their roles, to get a different perspective and to give the players a different voice in those particular units.
Looking good so far. Offense, smooth start for the Phoenix. Both teams still feeling each other out defensively. Still just straight matchup look from the Phoenix against this Empire O-line.
David Hampson telling us that they have a few zones and junky looks, but they like to just play person and try to throw their athletes out there. That disc is incomplete. Through Osgar's hands, pretty good pressure by the sideline from Eric Whitmer. First break chance of the game belongs to Philly.
They went 3 for 4 last week. Let's see if they can put one on the board here early.
Well, they love to counterattack quickly, but it's a dangerous throw, and Ben Yacht's lanky arms are nearby. Ben Yacht is the Empire's leader in blocks right now, which isn't a great sign when an O-line guy leads the team in blocks. That's his 6th of the year. Oscar! Go Gadget arms to keep that disc alive. Now for the double team. Blades it to the back of the end zone. What a catch! Full extension reach from John Lithio near the back line to haul it in.
And what can't John Lithio do? Obviously, you got to be tall to bring that one down, but still a great play to go up and bring it down. Couple goals early for Lithio. And a first miscue of the game right there. Just a high pass. Osgar under pressure, but then Yacht able to get it back in the double team. And the double team on the sideline. Osgar stays poised. And look at the play from Lithio, keeping that left foot in bounds. Wow.
Tremendous catch from Lithio, who played at D3 Hope College in Michigan. Tried out and made the New York Empire team before the 2020 season that was then canceled, but they were excited about what he was going to bring last year and certainly has fit in very well with his team on offense. So the Phoenix unable to convert their first break chance. Now trying to stay perfect on offense. Here's Mott. The lefty hits Arcata coming under. And there was no mark set, and that's money in the bank all day long for the Phoenix.
Right to left huck. Once again, they're finding that open space. And I want to point out, no Ben Katz tonight for the New York Empire. Somebody who gets a lot of things done for them defensively. Even if he's not getting the block, he's often getting into throwing lanes. And tonight, it's been smooth sailing. New York's going to have to make some adjustments. Great Philly offense to start.
Yeah, the New York D-line takes a bit of a blow without Ben Katz, and also without Ryan Weaver on offense. They shift over Solomon Ruschemeyer-Bailey to be that reset handler. He's another good weapon that they would have on D. So a lot of responsibility in the hands of guys like Matty Weintraub and Jeff Babbitt defensively after a turn for New York. But that's 2 assists for Arcata, 2 goals for Glazer. And we're tied 3-3, less than 4 minutes gone. Charlie, I was expecting more weather tonight, and maybe we'll see some, but my Lepler's locks, I declared no, Philly would not get to 20 goals tonight. Feeling a little on edge about that pick right now. You can still sign up for the DraftKings free-to-play pool for your shot at $1,000 in prizes. Just answer your series of questions and the results of the second half. And, well, maybe don't go with that particular lock, as Lepler put it on Wednesday night on AUDL Weekly.
I'm in the pool every week. Got the DraftKings app on my phone.
Have you cashed out yet?
Well, when I'm outside of New York where I can legally place actual bets,
well, I'm saying, have you gotten some of the coin from the free-to-play pool yet, or have your picks
not from the AUDL one,
no.
but I've won some others.
Good footwork from Ben Yacht. The front edge of the end zone. Jack Williams will get the assist.
A little chirping from Ben Yacht over at his defender.
He's been known to do that from time to time.
Certainly.
Chatty fellow out on the field.
All holds so far in the game.
He says, if you get to know me, though, I can't see how you wouldn't like me. Let's take a look at our keys to the game presented by DraftKings. What you got tonight, Charlie?
Well, the Empire need to take care of the disc, and for the most part, they've done that. They have the one offensive turnover, but it's been a problem for them this season. You know, they let teams hang around. They let teams get back into the game. You know, they gave up a couple of early breaks against DC and then played even the rest of the game, but it wasn't enough. They could never get back. So I want to see this offensive line do what they can do against this undermatched Philly D-line. Let's be honest. This Empire O-line should be able to score at will. And for the Phoenix, they got to stay in it. And so far, so good. They have to just hang around. They need to be there in the fourth quarter and have a chance to steal their first road win of the season.
I mean, I think they know that they're capable of winning a game like this. They've come really close in the past. They felt like they had the Empire beat late in the 2019 season. Talked to Brian Jones, the former coach of the Empire, about that game a bunch, and he's still kind of befuddled about how New York won that one.
A little bit more deep help from New York after getting beat deep the first 3 points. Now red zone offense for the Phoenix.
Mike Drost gets a mark on him. Also no Josue Aloro tonight for the New York defense, and Charlie Hoppus, the co-coach of the Empire, said Aloro probably would have been the guy getting the mod assignment, but Marquez Brownlee still can fly. MKB HD with a block.
They slowed him down in the red zone, didn't let them get that easy huck look off, and then it sets up the beautiful play from MKB HD.
Brownlee going up for it. A step shy of the goal line. And Mike Drost will score the goal, the first Empire break of the day. Marquez Brownlee's defensive bid, and then the dish for the score to lead the Empire to their first break.
Well, that's how you draw it up if you're the New York defense. What did we say after the previous point? They got to make an adjustment. So they come out in more of a junk set. They're gumming up the lanes. They're helping deep. They force Philly to throw a lot of passes, and then it's Marquez Brownlee coming through and making the big play, going deep the other direction. Almost got the bookends. Picks up those 47 receiving yards, the block and the assist all on this point. Wow, what a play from Brownlee. Just taking it away. And then Easy beats his man the other direction, and a simple inside flick to Drost for the score.
Second block of the season for Marquez Brownlee, 27-year-old who's now in his third season with the Empire. Played with the Philadelphia Phoenix back in 2017, had 30 goals, 19 assists, 18 blocks that year. Had a really good season for Philly. Came to New York in part because Eileen Murray, coach of the Empire in 2018, had coached Marquez in New Jersey, and Marquez really wanted to play for Eileen, and now he's become a full member of this New York Ultimate community. There's a lot of crossover, though, between these two franchises. A lot of Philly guys coming up to New York. Heyman dishes it back, and nice play by Whitmer. Getting it off the sideline. Heyman swings it further, and Owens will track it down in the end zone.
Excellent goal for the Phoenix, but much better pressure from the Empire on that point as well. They switched back to matchup, and nearly came up with a couple blocks, nearly forced a turnover. But a smooth backhand again. Really doing a great job finding the open space and just letting receivers run it down with no defender in the area.
Paul Owens with his 5th goal of the season. And a reminder, you can get in on today's action with DraftKings. Play free today when you sign up with the promo code AUDL. Just download the DraftKings app, make your picks in the free-to-play pool on the results of the second half for your shot at $1,000 in cash. I got a little DraftKings coin playing the match the other day.
Oh, okay.
The Rodgers. I honestly I went against Brady in everything. 'Cause, well, I know he's hilarious and the best. He's just not a great golfer, and it paid off.
It paid off. Fading Brady. Don't want to fade him in the NFL though.
No. I mean, Brady's my guy, obviously. New York continues to just carve up this Phoenix defense. Chartok swings it to Ruschemeyer Bailey. Elliot Chartok, top handler for Stanford back in his college days. Here's Matt Stevens. Interesting that both teams' GMs are on the field. Stevens for New York, Arcata for Philly.
Yacht finally getting a touch. Nate Little playing good defense.
I was excited to see Nate Little in person tonight. Gets beat with the inside flick there. And two former University of Minnesota teammates combine for the Empire score. Yacht to Osgar.
Ryan Osgar still making things happen out there for the Empire. But we're seeing the chess match a little bit with Phoenix picking it up. They managed to do a good job of separating the Empire handlers from the cutters, forcing some swing passes, a little bit more pressure, not the same walk it up the field that we've seen from the Empire so far.
Charlie, we mentioned Brian Jones no longer coaching the New York Empire. There's Anthony Nunez, and his co-coach is Charlie Hoppus. Dave Blau, who was an assistant 2 years ago, is back as an assistant. Blau has raved about the job Nunez and Hoppus have done. He said they've been really inclusive and supportive, and these guys have a fantastic knowledge base. The thing is, they're from Philadelphia.
Yeah. And
they probably know more about the Phoenix personnel than the Empire personnel.
Certainly. I mean, Charlie Hoppus particularly, but Anthony Nunez, what a job he's done. You know, the foundation of so many players on the field here set by him. He's had such a big influence in the New Jersey, New York, Philly area as we see a Huck go up.
This one hanging in the end zone, and it's caught. What a snag right there by Greg Martin.
Sometimes you just got to throw it up to the big man. Greg Martin had a couple steps. Mott sends it deep. I mean, more than a couple steps, really. And just, defender never really had an opportunity to get into that play because couldn't get turned around to take a look at it. So Martin able to just go up easily, bring it down for another Philly hold. Just back to Anthony Nunez for one moment. He's coached in 16 straight New Jersey State high school championship games, and he's won 13 of them. And he's been a big influence with the Devil program out of New Jersey, which brings in kids from both New York and Philly. And great to see him out here coaching with the Empire.
Coach Marquez Brownlee when he was coming up. Also professional coaching experience with the New York Rumble of the defunct MLU. Low throw. One that Ruschemeyer Bailey wants back.
Great opportunity for the Phoenix to tie it up. Short field turnover from the Empire.
Did they get the timeout call before the hammer? For Philly's sake, I hope so. And yes, David Hampson did make the call. And that is clutch because that throw did not look like it was going to end well. By the way, a trivia question that the Phoenix coaches shared with me before the game. Apparently there are two players in Ultimate history who have won an MLU title and an AUDL title. They're both current members of the Philadelphia Phoenix.
I'm going to go with Matt Esser. No. Evan telling me no. I'm trying to think back to who was on those Spinners teams. Dustin Damiano and Matt Glazer. It's no surprise. Those guys have been playing in Philly for years, but I don't think I would have guessed it off the top of my head because not necessarily the first names you think of when it comes to Philly, but that's a cool distinction to have. Maybe they can get another AUDL title under their belt.
That's the long-term goal for sure.
I mean, let's not look past the fact that the Phoenix have a chance. If they have a good weekend, they can get a win here, go into Boston and win tomorrow. I mean, they're right back in the thick of the playoff race. I mean, this is a big weekend for them.
And
even
conversely,
going 1-1.
if it doesn't go well, they could fall really far away from that conversation.
That's absolutely right. And with the 12-game season, that's how it goes. You know, sitting at 2-3, I think you don't want to come away from this long series of road trips empty-handed.
Yeah.
You know, if they end up 0-5 on this stretch of road games after starting the season so well with the two wins, it's going to feel like it's already over.
Here we go. Phoenix looking to tie it up after the timeout. Max Charles, guarded by Marquez Brownlee, gets the reset to Damiano. Matt Lamar chasing Jake Butrica around, and the Phoenix tie it up. Damiano delivers a strike to Arcata, and it's 6-all as the Phoenix get their first break.
Good patience from Philly, coming out of the timeout, having to face that top New York D-line. They don't try to force it. They wait for this easy pass. They get the whole Empire defense to the strong side of the field, swing it around. That's textbook. Here's the turnover once again. Rushmeyer Bailey just didn't put enough air underneath it. That's a totally unforced mistake, and Philly makes them pay. Great timeout call, by the way. Coaching staff seeing the itchy trigger finger on the hammer and getting the call in before the turnover.
I'm being fact-checked via text right now. And I was skeptical of making the point, but the Phoenix coaches were so certain. They said they've done so much research. And I don't know the MLU history well enough, but it's possible that Ben Katz and Victor Luo won championships with the Boston Whitecaps and also won with the Empire and Radicals. So we'll dig into that a little bit more as Yacht unable to make the grab, and Philly's looking for the lead. Appreciate the wisdom of Adam Ruffner checking in as the Phoenix try with a dangerous hammer reset, and Esser unable to haul it in. Matt Stevens wide open. Williams right with him. Chartok swings it for Osgar. Couple turnovers in the quarter aside, Charlie, as Yacht catches the under. What do you think of what you've seen the first 10.5 minutes from this New York offense? They feel pretty crisp to me.
Yeah, I mean, they've had great stretches, and I think some of the mistakes that we've seen, one of the concerns about this Empire team was handler depth. And when they're missing a couple of players because of injury, then all of a sudden, you know, you have players coming over from the D-line, maybe not as comfortable in that O-line role. We see some mistakes. There's the turnover. They obviously get it right back.
Should mention Colin Messino got the underblock there. That was a heck of a play on
Great
Yacht.
play. And then Yacht, hard cut inside, front cone, and Empire get back on the board. I have to say, I think the better offense so far in the game has been the Phoenix. But Ben Yacht piling up the stats early. That's his third goal to go along with an assist and a block.
I mean, the Phoenix have had 3 chances to break. They're 1 for 3. New York has only had 1 chance on the Marquez Brownlee block. This is a different look from the New York defense. Something they've done a lot, though, throughout the season. And a bump is called on Matt Lamar. While they walk it off, I'll mention Matt Lamar playing his 116th consecutive game for the Empire tonight. He has never missed a game in New York history. And with tonight's game, he ties Keenan Plew, who retired from the Indy Alley Cats this offseason, second all-time in games played in AUDL history. He is the Iron Man.
He is absolutely the Iron Man. Incredible that he has not missed a game in that stretch.
It's funny to ask him about it because he doesn't really own it as Mott hits the open man cutting in the end zone. Martin catching another. Second goal for Greg Martin. You ask Lamar about it. He's like, yeah, I try to be committed, but it's not like I've missed my brother's wedding to play Ultimate. Like the schedule's just kind of worked out. He's thought he's going to miss a game, and the schedule got changed. And this is the all-time list right here. Cam Brock played his 121st game last week, which was kind of a surprise. He came out of retirement. A couple other Empire on this list, Mike Drost and Matt Stevens. It's a pretty good list of AUDL greats.
Cameron Brock retiring and coming back.
Yeah.
Coming back last week. Great to see him back and contributing right away. And Matt Lamar just been a grinder on, mostly playing on the D-line his whole career and, giving them offense after the turnover. Not a flashy player, but really fits the mold of what the Empire have historically been. Faceless mob.
Yeah.
They're not so faceless anymore after they've won the championship, but he's still one of those original guys.
I like what the great Team USA and longtime Fury coach Matty Sang have said. Retirement's a spectrum as the deep shot goes up and Oscar accelerates away from the defender. And that's a very quick score for New York.
Back shoulder fade, Oscar speed, flashing the Hakas. And just Ryan Oscar, you worry about him coming underneath because he's going to go get it and then beat you with a throw, but he's also got the speed to go deep. Jack Williams, beautiful throw. This has to be precise. There's defenders on the open side, and you got the boundary on the far side, and he drops it right in for Oscar.
I don't know about you, Charlie. I thought it was interesting when we asked Charlie Hoppus about Oscar versus Jack Williams and kind of their similarities and differences as a player. And he explained more differences than I expected. He said Jack Williams hates turning the disc over, so plays a lot more conservatively. He's a superhero, but he still is more conservative. Ryan Oscar is an artist and thinks he can throw any angle on any point in any part of the field, and because of that, some turnovers might come from it, but it also is pretty spectacular too.
Well, Williams, no turnover there, but definitely showing a little artistry with the shape on the throw.
Important 10 seconds right here in Marquez Brownlee's area, and he swallows it up. New York with a chance for a Hail Mary. Williams gets it off as the buzzer sounds. Babbitt racing to the end zone. And Jeff Babbitt comes down with it. The New York Empire take a 2-goal lead.
So many times in his career has he done that. He just is he's got to be the #1 guy in the league in pulling it down at the buzzer. And it doesn't matter whether it's a quarter or the half or the end of the game. He'll win you games with this. And that's the kind of score right there that other teams don't have an answer for. That's how New York beat DC in week 1. A win that looks better and better every time we get another DC win on the ledger. And just Babbitt, so special. Great defender, but gives you that extra oomph. And he's just a huge guy. He just could go up and bring it down.
You almost can't draw it up any better than this, too. Such a frantic possession. But
what a block by Brownlee.
That's 2 blocks in the quarter for Marquez, and Babbitt just kind of gaining position and just a man amongst boys.
1-on-4. No one else even coming close. And finds Williams straight away, but Marquez Brownlee getting that block when he did. This could have just as easily been a score right there at the end of the quarter. Philly ties it up, and instead, it's a 2-goal lead for the Empire.
So the Empire with a couple breaks in the quarter, both keyed by Marquez Brownlee blocks, and then the Babbitt buzzer beater 2. New York by 2 at the end of 1.
The playoffs make every day feel like a win, but with DraftKings, every day is a win. Courtesy of DraftKings free-to-play pools playoff edition. Simply make your picks on the featured game of the day. Answer questions like who will cover the spread, which team will score first, and which players will have the most points. If you get enough right, take home your share of $250,000. So download the DraftKings app now. Use the promo code to play free for a share of $250,000 in prizes. And make it rain.
Well, Jeff Babbitt with the buzzer beater to close the first quarter. No two fans more excited than his parents, Bruce and Tana Babbitt, sitting in the top of the stands right there. You see the 87 on Tana's hat with the green lettering. I think her hat says Babbitt on it, actually. When you're Jeff Babbitt, you get your family hats with your name on it.
He needs a logo.
Yeah.
One of his skies and over a giant pack of players like we just saw at the end of the first quarter.
That's all the entrepreneurial graphic designers out there in the ultimate world. See what you can do with the Jeff Babbitt logo. I mean, it was the Marquez Brownlee logo after championship weekend that really took off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Marquez, as important as anyone on the team for the Empire in the first, with 2 blocks and an assist. And Philly begins the second quarter down by 2. Arcada's swing chased down by Glazer. Just the 3rd game of the year for Glazer. Alex Thorne hits Mott underneath. And now Arcada. Nasser Mbai-Vogel's on the mark, making his Empire debut as the deep shot goes up to nobody other than the New York defender. Ryan Holmes ushers it to the back line as Hannah turns it over.
Just got deked by his cutter. Thought he was going, turned to cut underneath, and threw it to nobody.
First completion as a member of the Empire for Ben Nelson, and now the first touch for Nasser Mbai-Vogel, and he launches a beauty, and it's Mike Drost running it down. Welcome to New York, Nasser.
The legend.
He'll be 42 later this summer. A European superhero when it comes to Ultimate. Played his first World Championships in Hawaii in 2002. And he may have gotten away with a travel on the throw, but who the heck cares? Because this was gorgeous.
He's won 4 national championships in different countries. He was a big contributor for the Montreal Royale a few years ago. He just spent 2 weeks in Mexico so that he could get over here to the United States because he can't fly directly from Europe. And he comes here, he basically just got here, and he comes in and he throws this absolutely picture-perfect huck forehand. Wow.
Type of guy, you just throw him out there on D and see what he can do, and I think they're going to be pretty pleased with the decision. TJ Stanton got banged up, so he was unable to play. Vogel was basically number 21, but he just arrived yesterday. He met most of his teammates today. With that said, a couple folks with the Empire said no one is more active on their GroupMe than Nasser.
He's been ready to get over here. It's taken him a while because of various issues with the pandemic and traveling from Europe. And finally gets here. He's been on the roster since early in the season, and wow, what a way to kick it off. And, you know, basically your first throw of the game to be that one.
Awesome moment for the Ultimate Lifer, who married a member of the Swiss national team that he met at an Ultimate tournament. He's from France originally. Deep shot going up, testing Jeff Babbitt. That's a no-no. Babbitt gets the block, as we all expected him to do on Brandon Pastor.
Oh, and he throws up the arm. He throws up the bicep. And you can't throw that against Jeff Babbitt. If you're going to try to attack him deep, it has to be a laser beam. Because if you hang it up at all, he's going to win the matchup. And that's exactly what we just saw.
To the dismay of Matt Weintraub and Angelo Olcese, timeout was called from the sideline right as they were getting ready to complete the pass. So the O-line's coming on. The New York Empire on a 3-zip run since Philly tied it up on the Greg Martin goal at 7-all. A reminder that you can get in on today's action with DraftKings. Just download the app, make your picks on the results of the second half. and you could be a part of that $1,000 cash prize. Jeff Babbitt with a block. Who would have thought?
Just no chance. I mean, as soon as you release the throw, you got to be thinking, oops. Like, if this is a perfect throw, it works. But you can see Martin in the background going, why? Why throw that against Jeff Babbitt? And that's what makes Jeff Babbitt a special player.
I don't want to speak to the current events that are going on, but that's the Britney Spears throw. The oops, I did it again. Hucking on Jeff Babbitt's guy.
And, you know, Babbitt playing mostly on the D-line isn't going to pile up stats on the stat sheet, but he does more than just come down with big shots at the end of the quarter in buzzer beater situations and get the occasional block. I mean, he changes the gravity of the field, because now the next time he's covering somebody in the deep situation and he's leaving some leash for his cutter, the Phoenix handlers are going to think twice about throwing it. It changes what you can do defensively to have a player like that.
Nice high release lefty from Chartok to initiate to Williams. Underneath to Lithio. Yacht has to go up for it. Coming across the field, Rushameyer Bailey, the lefty out of Brown University. And here's Chartok again. Acrobatic catch there by Oscar. Quick little throw and go. And he felt the defender, Eric Whitmer, who fouled him. Vertical stack in the middle of the end zone here for New York as they look for their 4th straight goal. Williams through the contact. And he'll catch it centered as they call Owens for the foul.
Phoenix trying to apply pressure, but mostly just fouling.
11-7. Williams to Yacht. Virtually unstoppable.
That's a huge moment in this game. You think right at the end of the first quarter, it's looking like the Phoenix are going to come away all tied up. High scoring first quarter. And this is the problem for the Phoenix. They have a stretch like this where they give away 4 in a row, and all of a sudden it feels like it's a big hill to climb to get back into the game. Great work by the Empire, getting the deep block. Coaching staff calls the timeout, and the O-line works a long, hard-fought possession to get the break.
Charlie Hoppus, along with Anthony Nunez. Dave Blau in the background there. That's the brain trust for the 2021 Empire. 3 sharp ultimate minds. Of course, I'm not sure enough people realize how great of a player Dave Blau was playing for those old New York club teams. He's a USA Ultimate Hall of Famer. Won many championships.
Still involved with the Hall of Fame, working on setting up a physical location.
Is that going to happen?
It's going to happen.
What are you hearing on that? What do your sources say?
Well, it sounds like it's in the works. I mean, I don't know exactly what the time frame will be. I think things got set back a bit by the pandemic. But the plan is to get one in the ground in the Northeast, probably
Jersey,
around Columbia.
Yeah, where the sport was founded. Makes a lot of sense.
There's already a plaque in the ground. Birthplace of Ultimate Frisbee.
Marquez Brownlee's already made his high school Hall of Fame, too, in Maplewood. Brownlee lurking again, but this time he comes up empty, and Damiano picks up the assist to a frustrated Matt Glazer as the Phoenix score their first goal of the second quarter with 5 minutes gone.
Been a drought for the O-line, and it's throws like this that have cost them. Just a little too casual, lucky to get away with a nice catch from Damiano, and he zips it into the end zone for Glazer. Needed that one. Got to get the D-line back on the field.
First game of the weekend for the Phoenix. They are in Boston tomorrow. New York Empire have not played Boston yet. That'll happen next week. The Boston Glory currently sitting at 2-3. After tomorrow, they'll either be 3-3 or 2-4. Every game's important, Charlie, the rest of the way in this division. Top 4 make the playoffs. Top 2 host a playoff game. Winner of the 2 playoff games go to championship weekend in Washington, D.C. in September. Really our first away from the disc whistle of the game. I think it was a foul called on the Philly defense. Officials tonight, Robin Benton, Mike Sinello, James Kolinsky, and Joe Campbell.
Phoenix right now sitting in 5th place in the Atlantic, but 2 losses this weekend. They might find themselves in 6th or 7th.
Osgar, unmarked. Was he looking where he threw that? I'm not sure. Lithio was right where the disc was, though, and it's 12-8 New York.
Lithio picks up his 3rd goal of the game.
Doesn't it feel like he's always been a member of the Empire offense now? He just looks so natural out there.
Fits right in. And that's what's been impressive about the Empire this season. Maybe they haven't played quite as sharp as they did in their 2019 campaign, but they've had a lot of changeover on this offensive line, and yet it's looked good. Lithio getting free in the back of the end zone. Osgar taking over for Grant Lindsley in the middle. Jack Williams continuing to do what he does.
Well, I was excited to see New York tonight. It's my first time this season seeing the Empire, so first time seeing them since the championship game in San Jose back in 2019. Certainly a different look. And by Vogel sets the mark on Hannah. Heyman downfield for Charles, who lets Mott go after this one, and Sean Mott had position. And skies Ryan Weaver for the score.
That's a great shot, because if you're going to take the hanger, you want to make sure you're throwing it to your best receiver, and that's what Sean Mott is. And he's got a step, and it's easy for him to go up over the top.
For cheesesteaks, hot dogs, or chicken sandwiches located next to the merch tent.
One more time. Mott doing a great job of sealing the defender.
Matt LaBar, we're told, wearing the Weaver jersey out on the field. So LaBar was the guy that Mott skied.
Pair of goals, pair of assists for Mott early in this one.
Elliot Chartok has been very crisp with his throws so far. Lithio zips it up the line for Williams.
Philly into a zone.
Dangerous throw by Williams, and it's knocked down. Another block for Colin Messino.
It's really the first mistake we've seen from Jack Williams in the game.
Charlie Hoppus just told us how angry Jack gets when he makes a mistake. Look out. Timeout called by the Philly sideline. Coaches over there, Dave Hampson and Nate Venditta. Hampson's got a crazy story. I mean, he's his 2nd year as a head coach. He was an assistant under Trey. He was a junior college baseball champion for Delaware Tech. Homeschooled growing up, didn't get a lot of looks, but was on a lot of all-star teams in the state of Delaware growing up. When he was 11 years old, Charlie, he was an out away from the Little League World Series in Williamsport before his team fell just shy. But he found Ultimate because he came home, his older sister was playing, he went out to Summer League. His captain of his Summer League team was Dustin Damiano. He started living with Dustin. Damiano was trying out for the Philly Spinners, so he wanted to try out for the Philly Spinners too. His first ever Ultimate team beyond Summer League was a Pro Ultimate team. But the issue is, he threw his body around too much. He's had 11 surgeries between Ultimate and baseball and other sports. And in his words, that's why I'm coaching at 28.
Well, I mean, I think this is going to be, I mean, it's the end of the frying pan a little bit with the Phoenix. I mean, it's tough to go on the road this many games in a row. You know, they start the season going 2-0, but I think he's done a good job so far this year. I think he's getting the most out of these players. You know, this Phoenix team is not the most talented in the league, and they've been competitive in pretty much all of their games. I mean, they had a chance to win against Atlanta a few weeks ago. They got blown out by Raleigh, but other than that, they've been very competitive. And here got a great chance to kind of claw back into this game right now as the O-line comes onto the field out of the timeout.
Trying to think of that Raleigh game as an anomaly. Reset all the way back for Martin. You don't want Greg Martin behind the disc. You want him downfield. Little confusion here to the Empire, doing a good job defensively of mucking this up.
Not a lot of space for Philly right now.
Tough grab made by Damiano. Hampson's old Summer League captain. Reason Hampson's involved right now. And of course, Dave Hampson's first Ultimate coach was Charlie Hoppus, who's now the head coach of the New York Empire with Anthony Nunez.
There's always been a lot of connectivity between the Philly and New York communities, just a couple hours down the road.
Great defense by the entire Empire roster, and it's Ryan Drost who gets the block. You could feel that coming. Sam Fetter back to Angelo Olchesi. Olchesi to Brownlee and a bump downfield. Officials making sure that tempers don't flare. Under 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. And this would be an Empire hold on offense if they could get it in because of the timeout call. Switch the lines. Olchesi from Scarsdale, New York, played college at Johns Hopkins, and Brownlee zips it to the back corner of the end zone. Fetter's got the goal, and the Empire avoid getting broken right there with the D-line coming through.
Double-edged sword of taking the timeout. Did it earlier in the game, rewarded with a break. This time, the Empire defense comes out and really gums up the works for the Phoenix. They really never got that possession going. Tried to get it around the horn. First up, the turnover, just throwing into the deep in the zone. Just a mistake.
The type of mistake that Ryan Oscar has explicitly said he doesn't want to have. Nice throw by Brownlee.
Federer almost putting his left foot out of the back of the end zone, but he's in.
Another D for Ryan Drost, the 157th of his career. His twin brother Mike is the AUDL's all-time leader in blocks. Mike, I think, entered the day with right around 170.
Amazing what they've been able to do.
By the way, I think last weekend in defeat, as that throw sails toward your cameraman, Aiden Shapiro late in there. Could have reached out the right hand and made the play. Timeout called by New York, and I think Ben Yacht and the offense are coming back on the field. Ben Yacht last week became the 20th player in AUDL history with 100 career blocks.
Wow.
It's a pretty good list if you wanted to start guessing names. What better to do during the timeout?
Trying to think back through, like.
And by the way, Mike Drost with 176 right now. The 170 was coming into the season.
Babbitt's got to be on the list. Out west.
You got to think old-time guys.
I know. Guy's been in the league a long time. I imagine Goose Helton's probably racked up 100 at this point.
Yeah, he's at 143. 7th all-time.
Let's see. Did Bo Kittredge do enough? He was on the offense for so long, but
Bo Kittredge, 110. We got the Radicals guys, Graffy, Meshnick, Pettit, Scantling. Empire guys, the twin brothers, Drost and Drost, are 1st and 4th, respectively. Travis Carpenter, the veteran for the Alley Cats, is out there. And
these are the kind of mistakes that have been killing Philly all season.
You see Aiden shy away from that? I mean, maybe he's protecting the camera, but
got to focus on the job first.
Great to see Aiden back from New Zealand. I know you're happy to have him back.
Indeed.
Here's the top 20, real quick. Mike Drost, Peter Graffi, Andrew Meshnick, Ryan Drost, KPS. Goose Helt, Travis Carpenter, Anson Repperman, Rick Gross, Jimmy Kittleson, Isaiah Massakelly, Nick Hutton, Steve Milardovich, Jay Frood, Jeff Babbitt, Bo Kittredge, Brian Schoenrock, Cam Harris, Dave Richardson, Ben Yacht.
Wow, Owens not happy about the whistle. Thought he got it first. Jack Williams is pretty sure that he had it, and a little chatter between the two players. Let's take a look. Did Williams get there first? I don't know. I mean, he clapped his hands on the disc, but I think Owens may have had it first.
Yeah, those are such difficult calls. A disc, potential for a disc don't lie moment, but Lithio read it better on the floaty throw. Oscar with a rising stall count resets for Williams.
Travel call, I don't know, maybe a bit of a makeup call. It doesn't really make up for the potential missed call on the turnover. I really got to see it in slow motion to get a good look at who got there first.
I mean, we can't say they got the call egregiously wrong,
no,
because we couldn't
not.
tell. But we'll take a look at it again during the after this point.
Williams everywhere on this offensive point.
Oscar to Yacht.
Empire goal scored.
And the lead swells to 5, largest of the night.
And 13th of the season, assisted by Ryan
That's the 5th
Oscar.
goal for Ben
His
Yacht.
22nd assist of the year.
Been doing a great job as a finisher tonight. A lot of times you see him getting open as a big deep cutter, but here he's just been able to find those spaces in the front of the end zone. One more time. Very close. Owens with the catch block, and I think he beat him to it. I think Williams clapped that disc after Owens had caught it. Owens understandably frustrated. Ultimately, New York goal.
On blocks are so hard to get, and you think you have one, you put your body on the line, and you got one on Jack Williams of all people, and then they take it away from you. You can understand the frustration, whether the call was correct or not. And again, I've looked at it 4 times, I'm still not certain.
Well, big end of quarter situation for Philly. Need to keep it close. Can't afford another end like the first quarter.
And it was 7-7 in the final minute of the first. And then a hold in the Babbitt buzzer beater. Going deep. Scott Heyman with his 7th goal of the season for the Phoenix. You said end of quarter situations. I feel like we might have 2 or 3 more scores before the end of the quarter. It's pace we're going.
It's been a very offensive game. Nice play by Heyman. And yeah, a little chippiness on the field between these two teams. Maybe just the coaching staff, they know each other, got the Philly-New York thing. Not necessarily natural rivalry, but some good fight from Phoenix.
They've played a lot of games through the years, and certainly each team has new players, but there's a slew of veterans who have no love lost for the opponent. New York so far in the half has only turned it over 4 times. 9 of 13 on offensive possessions. 5 for 5 on break chances, Charlie.
That's really the difference in the game.
Pretty good defense here from Pittsburgh to slow the Empire down.
30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, go in zone.
Ahead to Stevens. They still got plenty of time. And a big chunk gainer to Lithio. And now Yacht will milk this all the way. He looked at the scoreboard with the disc in the air and almost like he thought, should I catch it before the end zone to take some more time off the clock? Said, no, I'll just take it all the way to the end zone.
Well, that's an interesting calculation to make. You know, you might be able to burn some more clock, but get bird in the hand right there, and he decided to go with it. And, well, you know, Maybe it ran through his mind, going for another goal in the game. This is 6th. So Ben Yacht piling up the goals. Nice throw from John Lithio.
Yes,
doing a lot of little things for the offense. It's not just being a deep cutter.
I haven't really thought about it. It just popped into my head now, but it'd be an interesting debate. Who's got the best end of quarter buzzer beater line in the entire league? Certainly the Empire are candidates with guys like Babbitt and Yacht and Williams and Brownlee, but there are some other teams with good candidates too.
So we see that lineup out for New York with a couple of free safeties back, Babbitt and Yacht.
Arcata with 3 seconds. Arcata, a low laser. Yacht trying to make up the ground, and he will. Ben Yacht gets his second block of the night to go along with 6 goals and an assist in the half.
Getting some love from the fans.
Ben Yacht +9 in that first half, Charlie. Over 200 yards receiving, over 100 yards throwing.
No turnovers. 15 for 15 on throws. 5 hockey assists to go along with his 6 goals and an assist.
And the most total yards of anybody, too.
MVP things from Ben Yacht.
Yeah, hashtag MVP things. Well, New York 5 for 5 on break chances. Both Dross brothers involved. Marquez Brownlee had 2 blocks and an assist. But the O-line with Yacht and Oscar and Williams and Chartok doing their thing. Empire on pace for 30 after 2 quarters of play tonight in New Rochelle.
Playoffs make every day feel like a win, but with DraftKings, every day is a win. Courtesy of DraftKings free-to-play pools playoff edition. Simply make your picks on the featured game of the day. Answer questions like who will cover the spread, which team will score first, and which players will have the most points. If you get enough right, take home your share of $250,000. So download the DraftKings app now. Use the promo code to play free for a share of $250,000 in prizes. And make it rain.
It's halftime here at Focina Field in New Rochelle, New York. The Empire leading the Phoenix 15-10. It was a 7-7 game late in the first. And Empire scored the final 2 goals of the first quarter, including that Jeff Babbitt snag at the buzzer. How many times has he done that? Dominant second quarter of play for the Empire. What stands out most to you, Charlie Eisenhood, as you look at these first half numbers?
Well, I think the Empire's ability to convert the turnovers into breaks has been the major difference. I think they've applied better pressure. They've earned their break chances a little bit more. But going 5 for 5 compared to Philly's 1 for 4, that's really what you see the difference here. I mean, besides that, there's a lot of comparable things. Empire forced to work it more. You look at the red zone numbers, they've had to go all the way down the field. Philly's made them throw passes. We saw early in the game the Phoenix getting out and rolling, but once the Empire tightened that up, started to throw some zone and junk looks, Philly started to make mistakes, and the Empire punished them.
And you asserted, basically, this is what you wanted to see from New York. There were a couple decisions that were questionable, maybe one from Williams, one from Oscar, but to their credit, they only got broken once in 4 tries. Their defense got the disc back after the turn And for the most part, they really did a nice job taking care of the disc.
I think it was execution mistakes for New York as opposed to decision errors, and I think that's something that feels better. You know, if you're the coach, you say, hey, that's okay, do that one again. When Solomon Rushmeyer-Bailey throws the around backhand, he has a wide open cutter and he just leaves it short. Well, you know, you live with that one. It's when you try to do something that's too much. That's been the problem for New York a little bit this season. Tonight, they're not doing that. Their offense is getting off the field, and their D-line, led by Marquez Brownlee, doing work.
All right, the drumline entertaining the fans. They've become a staple here at Focina Field. It's 15-10 at the half as we start week 6 of the AUDL season, reaching the midway point of the campaign at the end of this weekend. But before we go further, let's look back at the top 10 plays from week 5 last weekend in the AUDL. Paust and Meshnik. It's Rami Paust with 5 seconds. Paust floats it to the end zone. The jump ball to take half is caught! Sterling Kanaki hauls it in, tumbling to the ground, and we're tied at the half here in Chicago.
What a finish.
Are you kidding me?
Thunderbirds eating up time. They would like to get it onto the other side of the field, and Van Duzen has it. And he's got a receiver in the form of McSherry. McSherry being chased by Arcata. The disc is going to outrun Arcata, but not. McSherry, Clint McSherry, catches the disc for the Thunderbirds' 23rd goal.
Turnovers are the only times that we're getting in trouble. This is trouble.
Basically just stop throwing that to start.
Tough grab there by Kanaki, and the disc that was floating a little high from Paust. Back to Paust, who launches, looking for Pettit Scantling. Shock there defensively, but Pettit Scantling rips it away. KPS doing special things.
Holy smokes. He landed like a ton of bricks.
Babbitt now back in a handler position, and that was one thing that Ben Katz has struggled. And here comes a hammer. A nice one, ripped right in there. Matt Stevens. One of his more.
Watching Madison's offense here at the beginning of the game, their stats started. Oh boy.
Aman Gilon read the play, saw it the whole way, and picks up another block. Indy beginning the second half on offense. Pettit Scantling gets another. His 4th block of the night, each better than the last.
I mean, that's amazing.
Henderson shoots this one, looking for Dines, who makes a crazy catch. Second goal for Trey Dines, and this one was ridiculous.
That's an unbelievable play. The thing is, the one player that I was told to watch is Trey Dines.
Great pull by Chicago. Double team in the back of the end zone. Radicals not going to get out of trouble. Drew Swanson lays out for his 8th block of the season in just his 9th quarter.
Oh, and they put it immediately to Vinay. Vinay, does he come down with it? He does!
Insane. Go right back to him.
Oh my God, what a bid from Vinay Valsaraj. And the Soul sideline clears out to congratulate him. With the around it is quickly deep. Can we get a Callahan? We do!
That is exactly what the doctor ordered there. The Soul are exploding off the sidelines. Tons of energy.
Absolutely incredible. I believe Shane Heath in his third outing for the Soul. I'm sorry, Jake Worthington. I misspoke. Worthington, number 81. An Austin native, a UT Austin tough player.
How about Jake Worthington? His first touch in the AUDL was a goal and a block. He was +2. He had never thrown a pass, and he got a Callahan. That really swung that game last week. They were down 5-4. That goal tied it up at 5-all late in the first, and they scored the first 5 goals of the second quarter on their way to a big win over Seattle.
Keeping an eye on that team. Maybe people writing them off early, but they shouldn't be.
We'll update you on Seoul Roughnecks, only other game going on in the league tonight. But first, let's take a look at these first half highlights. Nate Vendetta and David Hampson knew it would be a challenge tonight. Marquez Brownlee back from an injury that kept him out last week, and certainly looks very solid.
Oh, and getting open deep too, and doing the little things and serving the hype.
Rushmeyer Bailey trying to loop his way in on MKBHD's fame.
A little strong man from Jeff Babbitt, little Popeyes. Shamot still smiling on the sidelines. Why not? He's playing great.
We can spend a lot more time talking about that Owens-Williams play, but certainly not the difference in the game by any means. Ben Yacht, +9, 6 goals, 1 assist, 2 blocks, no turns. And how about Nasser Vogel being left out of the highlight reel?
Oh,
nothing personal to our European audience.
The beautiful forehand tuck,
yeah,
on his first touch.
That was majestic. Well, Charlie, this is not the only game in the AUDL tonight. Dallas and Austin are playing right now, the first of 2 games that they're going to play in 2 nights in Dallas. It's a low-scoring game so far. 2-1 Roughnecks. 3 minutes left in the first. That game available on AUDL.tv. And here's the full slate for tomorrow. The Breeze and the Hustle, certainly the highlighted game. Looking forward to being with Ian Toner in Atlanta for that one. But not the only good game tomorrow. Chicago at Madison is intriguing. Minnesota hasn't played for a couple weeks. They got a doubleheader, Indy on Saturday and then at Chicago on Sunday. And
good chance for Minnesota playing Chicago on the back-to-back. They could go 2-0. That'd be big for their season, their chances of getting into the playoffs. But really, come on, that DC-Atlanta game, Evan, this is the game of the season so far. It's not just the game of the week. I'm really excited to see this Atlanta Hustle team face off against the DC Breeze team that just beat the New York Empire and has really looked like one of the best teams in the league. Atlanta at the top of the AUDL power rankings right now, undefeated, but I don't know, I still have some questions, Evan. I think DC looking like the better team so far, but you know what? You get to prove it tomorrow night. Somebody's coming away with a W.
There are tons of great matchups in that one, including the 2 coaches, Daryl Stanley and Miranda Knowles.
Just a great matchup.
It is a Women in Sports night at the Atlanta Hustle game tomorrow night. It's also Miranda's 39th birthday.
Happy premature birthday.
By the way, you can play free for thousands in cash all season long with DraftKings free-to-play pools. Just download the DraftKings app. Use the promo code AUDL when you sign up. Empire with the disc to begin the third. You got the first half numbers handy. What was Chartok throwing in that first half? I don't believe he had a turn.
Chartok went for 343 yards, no turnovers, a couple of assists.
34 completions. On pace for another 600 yards in the air or so. Elliot Chartok was on the New York Empire podcast with Dan Hilton recently, and Chartok says that while he's a big mathematics guy, he tries not to look at his own stats. I've talked to players who say they try not to look at the stats because it can get in their head a little bit if you look at it too closely. You think about the turnovers and the completion percentage and the yardage and those types of things. So think Chartok has said he's been surprised when folks have told him how many yards he's thrown for. That was a difficult inside flick, but Yacht makes the catch.
Yacht just creates such a wider target than many players. That throw to a lot of players would be a turnover, but Yacht makes the catch.
Chartok with the left hand to Osgar.
Well, the Phoenix made him run. The Phoenix made him work. But the Empire, steady with the disc, confident with the disc. Chartok making the tough throws, the inside, the lefty backhand for the assist.
This is now a 9-3 run for the Empire since it was tied 7-all late in the first.
And they really took command of the game. Chartok nearly jumping it in and then just finding the little seam. But ever since that Marquez Brownlee layout block that they converted into a goal.
That play and the Babbitt buzzer beater were,
That's
were
right.
the two real turning points.
Catalyst for this run. Ryan Osgar leading the team in receiving right now, 256 yards. And you know that's the thing about Ryan Osgar. On another night, he could be leading the team in throwing yards.
He's as good as it gets in terms of catching an under and then launching long. This hammer's floating for a while, and it's knocked down by Sam Fetter. First block of the season for Fetter, who had just one in his rookie season with the Empire 2 years ago.
No timeout call from the Empire coaching staff so far. Going to let the D-line try to work it.
Olchese to Babbitt. You can forget how excellent Jeff Babbitt's throws are. You see him make so many hulking athletic plays, but especially during his college days at UMass, he had as good a throws as anybody in the country. Fetter to the end zone for Mike Drost. He's in bounds, and the lead is now 7 for New York.
After some early, easy huck goals for the Phoenix, the Empire adjusted, and the Phoenix offense has never looked the same again. And you know, early on it was some heroic plays by the Empire, and now we're starting to see that cumulative effect of defense starting to pile up. The overthrows, the hammer that hangs too long in the air, and then the D-line putting the O-line to work on the ground. Drost brothers getting it done, Mike with the goal, and Fetter getting the block that got it all started.
I don't know if you've watched much Wimbledon over the past couple weeks, but this Queen tune is all over ESPN's Wimbledon coverage. And we're on our way to the finals.
We are,
Championship weekend at Wimbledon.
Men's semifinals earlier today.
Who you got, Djokovic or Berrettini on Sunday morning?
Look, it's Novak's to lose, that's for sure.
He's a heavy favorite. I like the top seed in the women's tomorrow as well, Ash Barty from Australia.
Should be going against Pliskova.
Paul Owens to the end zone. Phoenix get their first goal of the second half to Esser. I beg your pardon. That's not Esser.
By number 70,
It's Butrika.
Now it's time for another free giveaway.
Well, the Phoenix O-line gets off the field, but got a lot of work to do defensively. And, you know, so far in the game, they've really had to rely on New York making mistakes. Can they get a takeaway? I mean, Owens did really get a takeaway, but got called a foul, or really a strip. So, D-line trying to get something started here in the third quarter.
And if you're the Empire, look, you don't want to settle down. This is the game to kind of re-emphasize your place in the top echelon of the league by taking care of business at home. You don't want to let the Phoenix creep back into within 3 or 4, because that's what happened in New York's game against Pittsburgh, the Empire's game against the Tampa Bay Cannons too, and the second day of a back-to-back for Tampa. Yacht's wide open. Stevens, always a good decision maker, throws it back. Williams to Oscar.
Phoenix coming out in a junk look. It really broke up the pull play for New York, but the Empire doing a great job of just swinging the disc back to the weak side. And
that's just unfair.
Moving it up the field.
Feel bad for Colin Messino, who's had a couple good blocks tonight, but that Ben Yacht cut just coming horizontally across, one quick jab step, and then right to the back corner. And Oscar, I mean, they've been teammates for such a long time.
It's just an easy throw for Oscar. Yacht with too much time to get open there.
I think Ben Yacht might get a little lick of ice cream after this. That's the owner of the Empire, Paul Stevens.
Oh, have a taste. You've earned it.
Wow.
Seventh goal, you get some ice cream. What happens after the 10th goal, Evan?
That's an aggressive bite right there on someone else's ice cream cone.
He's only going to get one shot at it. Elliot Chartok finding a little screen time.
I got a hunch that Paul might get him his own cone after the game if he really wants it. That's new, though. Have not seen the ice cream cone celebration. There's something there. What do you make of this junky look from New York?
Well, it takes away the huck, makes it throw a lot of passes, and I think the Empire coaching staff are seeing the mistakes from the throwers and wanting them to throw more passes, and it's worked out. It's how they've built this 7-goal lead.
Charles unmarked for the moment. Now Babbitt comes at him. Babbitt's got about 4 feet on Charles. Not quite that much, but that's what it seems like.
A lot of switching downfield from the Empire. Passing players off to one another. See the great switching. This is where New York can be so tough. And I think when we see Ben Katz back in the lineup, this is where he is so effective and seems to get so many blocks.
Possession began 7:51. So it takes almost 90 seconds, but the Phoenix do score. Greg Martin delivers another. Martin had a huge game, plus 10 in their win against Pittsburgh back in June.
Well, that's interesting. You know, Phoenix come through that possession. That's a very clean offensive possession against the zone. It's a good possession, but the problem is, if you're going to lose 90 seconds off the clock, you know, that's in New York's favor.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see them stick with the zone, even if Philly proves that they can beat it. Damiano with a fist pump. Nice blade into the end zone. But, I mean, I think in a way that's a win for New York, given the game situation with the big lead.
New York Empire 2 years ago in 2019 became the 3rd team in AUDL history to run through the regular season and the playoffs undefeated. The Toronto Rush did it in 2013. They had their 18 wins by 180 goals. There was tremendous competitive imbalance. The Dallas Roughnecks did it in 2016. They had their 17 wins by 154 goals, about 9 goals per game. So they were very dominant too. The New York Empire had their 15 wins by 52 goals, an average of 3.5 per game. 14 of the 15 were by 5 or less. So only one game that year did they win by more than 5. Like they're on their way to doing tonight. They have not won by more than 5, but the one time against Tampa this year when they won by 6.
Well, I mean, it's a knock against the Empire. I mean, they were in a lot of nail biters, even in their championship run where they went undefeated. I mean, even in the semifinals against the Indianapolis Alley Cats, a matchup that you would expect them to win very comfortably, ended up being close. But they found a way, and I think that's what great teams do. You don't have to win by a lot in order to become the champions. You just got to be able to play tight And they just play so smart situationally that obviously we've talked a lot this season about their end of clock situations and the management that they've done there. It's Ryan Osgar now over 300 yards of receiving.
All smiles over there on the Empire sideline. These Friday night home games got to feel great. You win and then you get the whole weekend. Philly's got to go to Boston tomorrow. Of course, after this weekend, the Phoenix have 4 of their final 5 games of the season at home. Now, none of them are easy games. They got Atlanta, D.C., New York, and Boston coming home. Another unforced error there. And an opportunity for Matt Lamar. As we said before, now second all-time in the AUDL in games played. He has never missed a single Empire game. You know, for veterans like him and the Dross brothers and Matt Auletta and C.J. Ouellette, the championship in 2019 was just so sweet after getting their heads bashed in by the Toronto Rush for so many years in the East Division. Things changed in 2018. Bo Kittredge joined the team. They upset Toronto in the championship of the East Division. There's another block. That disc just devoured by Brian Holmes. And by Vogel has the goal for New York.
Adds the goal to the assist he had earlier, and the Empire pulling away here in the third quarter. I'm so impressed by Vogel, who's able to show up and compete like this. He's getting real minutes. I thought he might only play a couple points tonight, but he's getting in on a lot of these D-line points and contributing on the stat sheet.
I chatted with him about an hour before the game, and at that time he still wasn't sure if he was going to play. But he had the cleats on, was warming up.
Just a stone cold drop. Empire give it back. Federer's throw a little short on the backhand, but comes back to the Empire. Thorne, feeling the pressure of the high stall, just throws right into the defender. Holmes able to pick it off. Comes around the horn. Vogel's already got a step, and he goes into the end zone for the score. And big for the Empire, too, to not have to take a timeout once again. D-line earning the break, saving those timeouts in case they need them late.
It's great to see Naz back in the league after his couple years in Montreal.
Phoenix scored 7 goals in the first quarter, only 5 since. That really tells you.
Feeling like that under 20's got a chance now.
I think so, Evan.
Do you remember what you selected in the DraftKings free-to-play pool?
I think I took the under as well.
Big Huck, Arcata in pursuit, but so's Jeff Babbitt. Babbitt got a piece of it. Arcata outmatched in that one.
When that throw went up, I thought it was no chance. Arcata did a great job just to give it an opportunity to get there. He's tracking it the whole way, and Babbitt just beat him to the spot. That's the kind of effort you want to see from your D-line in a game where you're up big, and you really do want to make that statement, as you said, Evan.
By the way, one of the other Lepler's locks, will the Empire have 9 or more blocks? That was number 9, so check another one off the list. Hope you went with me in the DraftKings free-to-play pool. And that was no gimme, because New York had not gotten that many blocks in their 2 games against D.C., only had 7 blocks in their game against Tampa. Season high, I believe, was 10 against Pittsburgh. They were on the bottom half of the league in blocks per game. There's number 9 tonight. Brownlee, Yacht, Babbitt, each with 2 apiece.
4. That's 4 lucky fans to try and win a prize.
And another timeout for the Empire, who have an 8-point lead.
Ben, Antonio, and staff are choosing 4 fans.
Well, I know before you came out here to the game, Evan, you had a chance to meet up with a New York Empire legend, Mr. Bo Kittredge himself.
Yeah, met Bo for lunch today. And there we were, outside of Il Bambino, the best paninis in Astoria. And it was great catching up with Bo, who seems very much at peace, not playing Ultimate. I asked him kind of late in our lunch, what are the chances you play Ultimate again? And like, you think he would have prepared for the question, but he's like, I have no idea. I haven't thought about it at all. He just found, like a lot of people, other things to do during the pandemic that he enjoyed. He's training for an Ironman triathlon right now. I asked him, why are you doing that? He's like, it seems like the most difficult thing I could do. Like, he's just looking for that next challenge. Still working to create his video game empire that has been a pet project of his, you know, for more than a half-decade now. But a great career, if it is indeed over. He's a legend, arguably the greatest of all time, 5-time AUDL champion, 7-time world champion, and it was good to visit with Bo earlier today. He and I have had lots of conversations before and after championship games, as you could probably imagine. That's just knocked down. But there was a whistle, and there was contact, and it's coming back.
Bo playing for 4 different AUDL teams in his career, ending here in New York. And never say never. I mean, yeah. You never know. After he trains for the Ironman, he could come back, get back onto a roster. Still 6'4", 205.
That's what he was listed at then. He says he's down like 20 pounds from when he was playing Ultimate. So he said, who knows, maybe I'd be better at Ultimate now than I ever was. I'm like,
yeah, you don't want to carry the extra weight for the Ironman.
I am a little worried about him, though, because included after talking about the Ironman, he's like, I still have to learn how to swim.
So they're going to need to do that. It's 2.4 miles.
And then like 100 miles on a bike, and then a marathon.
That's right.
It's insanity. Ben Yacht, wide open. That's easy.
I don't think you should leave Ben Yacht with that much space.
That's your expert analysis?
I don't think so. Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, I'm wondering where the ice cream cone is coming. I mean, you got to keep bringing more.
Keep feeding the guy.
Ice cream sundae, and then
banana split,
root beer float. But here's again the huck to Arcata low. Babbitt able to get there, break up the play. And then the Empire bring the offense into the game. Jack Williams falling away, sees nothing but daylight back there for Ben Yacht, who's just so open. He looks over at the owner and says, where's my ice cream? What a game Ben Yacht is having tonight. 8 goals, 2 blocks, an assist, 5 hockey assists.
How about that?
That means he's been a part of 14 of the Empire's 21 goals, if you count the hockey assist as part of it.
Because technically you could get the hockey assist and score the goal.
That's true.
Double dip a little bit. And the one other AUDL game that's going on right now, Roughnecks had a 3-1 lead over the Soul. Austin scored the last 2 of the quarter, so it's 3-3 on what looks like a pretty windy night in Dallas after 1. Greg Martin in the end zone, skying up over C.J. Ouellette.
That's been a great connection all night for the Phoenix. Martin getting open deep. He just dishes it off. Thorne says, go, and he does. Obliges. Thorne puts it up, and Martin showing off the hops.
Do you remember on Ultimate social media, there was some conversation about like the Trent Dillon highlight reel of every great Callahan candidate was their highlights were skying Trent Dillon, who's undeniably a great player. I'm getting those vibes with C.J. Ouellette a little bit. He got skied by the Pittsburgh, great play.
Yeah, Greg Martin there.
Greg Martin
22 yards. Yeah, getting him there. Picking up his 4th goal. Yeah, CJ Ouellette. I mean, it's a tough matchup for him. Longtime Empire player. I remember watching him back in the days of the Coney Island Stadium.
Yeah.
Fun venue for the Empire.
Home of the Brooklyn Cyclones, right?
That's right.
His first goal of the game, Matt Stevens.
Matt Stevens into the end zone for the goal. Empire up 9 and cruising.
And by the way, Chris Graber was the name of the great Thunderbird catch. It was eluding my, for that 30 seconds, I was racking my brain. Matt Stevens.
One of the best plays of the season.
Yeah, Stevens among the all-time AUDL leaders in goals. He's found the end zone many a time. And Yacht picks up another hockey assist.
Empire just outworking the Phoenix, too.
Well, this is probably the point where if you're the Phoenix, you're cutting your losses a little bit, thinking about trying to go 1-1 this weekend, and that does not involve giving everything you got in the last 12 and a half, 13 minutes here.
Yeah, one of the keys, the road management, and they've dealt with that. And Coach Dave Hampson was pleased with the way that the team came out after their loss to Raleigh, their bad loss to Raleigh, and played hard against the Atlanta Hustle. And they're going to need to do the same thing tomorrow against Boston, as a player down with an injury.
Yeah, this is not good news. Holding the right foot.
Matt Glazer.
This is a Philly team that lost Bryce Dunn to an ACL in the preseason. And then Mark Sands, one of their top players, 2 broken bones in his ankle in the second half of the Atlanta game.
And that's a tough loss for them. Sands, one of their key players.
Good to see Matt Glazer pop up. As I mentioned, a member of the 2012 AUDL champion Philly Spinners team.
Let's see what happened here. I think he just got his foot stomped on. Painful. Hopefully he's okay. I mean, that's going to hurt. Getting cleat right to the top of the foot. Might just be a bruise. Sean Mott getting set to check it in for the Phoenix offense.
Mott to Thorne. .30 seconds remaining in the quarter. Quarter that began with the Empire up by 5, and the lead has obviously grown. But it shrinks by 1 as Greg Martin skies for another over the closing defender, Mike Drost.
Assisted by number 16, Max
Martin's been a real bright spot tonight. He's up to +5 in the game. All goals. And just lots of trust from the handlers. Puts it up with great defender, Drost in the area. Martin bringing it down, but I've been impressed with the red zone defense from the Empire tonight. They have really forced Philly to make a lot of passes, and they've come up with some big plays. I mean, that Brownlee block that got things going for the D-line, that came from a red zone possession.
The score was 8-7 at that point.
That's right. And it looks like Martin's going to stay out there for a D point. Try to maybe hang back and pick off a last-second huck. Under 20 seconds on the clock.
Little surprised that Jeff Babbitt is not on the field for this O-line possession. Basically the Empire offense, which has plenty of size. Yacht to Williams. He's got 2 seconds. Williams to the end zone, a little too hot.
Maybe just went a beat too fast. Saw the clock counting down. I mean, had the cutter, and he knows.
And 1/2 a breath. Probably had enough time to take that half breath. But I doubt he'll lose too much sleep over that one. New York win that third quarter 7-4, and they lead by 8 as we head to the fourth tonight on our DraftKings Free Friday Frisbee.
Playoffs make every day feel like a win, but with DraftKings, every day is a win. Courtesy of DraftKings Free-to-Play Pools Playoff Edition. Simply make your picks on the featured game of the day. Answer questions like who will cover the spread, which team will score first, and which players will have the most points. If you get enough right, take home your share of $250,000. So download the DraftKings app now. Use the promo code to play free for a share of $250,000 in prizes. And make it rain.
Ben Yacht has another month and a half as a 28-year-old. He'll turn 29 in late August. What a game tonight. No turns, plus 11, over 550 yards of total offense, leading all performers in the game.
Yeah, leading the game in yardage, leading the game in goals, leading the game in plus minus. I mean, it's been a monster game for Ben Yacht, and it doesn't even really feel like he's had to work that hard for it. I mean, a lot of it has been getting open at the front cone, keeping things moving, just not making any mistakes. He's been excellent.
He had 8 goals in his first 4 games of the season coming into tonight, by the way. Match that here. The best thing from the Empire perspective is no turnovers. I mean, Charlie Hopp has basically said we need to change our mindset. I think our guys are so good that there's a belief they can have one mistake each a game. But if each player of the team has one mistake, that's 20 mistakes, and you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, that's been the knock on Ben Yacht. Maybe taking too aggressive of a shot from time to time. And tonight he's been very in control, not trying to do too much, and really playing his role downfield.
Hey, Charlie, if anything, that's been the most impressive part of what I've seen from the Chicago Union so far this year, is they have great players. They have played remarkably poised. You know, Pavlianis hasn't had to throw that many hucks. That was something. Daring blade that found turf without a receiver in sight. Saw Chicago last Friday night, take care of Madison. And game the Union was tested a little bit, but Chicago stood tall. Union have 2 games this weekend, in Madison tomorrow and at their home for Minnesota on Sunday. What have your impressions of Chicago from afar?
The hard thing about getting a read on Chicago is that the competition in their division is not up to the level that we see in the other divisions as the Empire turn it over. And I think it makes it difficult to get a really good feel for how good they're going to be come playoff time. I fully expect them to be the team that qualifies out of that Central Division, but I definitely have some reservations about whether they're going to be able to go up against more battle-tested teams, particularly from this Atlantic Division, but also from the West, in that situation. I mean, I think they're a very good team, but I think it's hard to get a lot of easy wins during the year as the Phoenix look into the end zone, get the goal, cuts it down to a 7-goal lead. But when you haven't had to play in those tough spots, how can you respond to the adversity that you're likely and almost certainly going to face in the big games of championship weekend?
It's a reasonable question. Certainly this will be their toughest weekend of the season so far. Madison on the road, Minnesota at home. We'll see if either of those games test them.
I mean, I think they got a little bit of a test against Madison last week. And now they'll go on the road. You see that team again. I think it would do a lot for my confidence in the team to see them really handle Madison. They played great against Minnesota earlier in the year.
They just blew the wind chill out in the first half. Wind chill actually outscored them in the second half, but it was virtual garbage time, although not from Minnesota's perspective. They felt good about what they did in the second half, and hopefully will enter Sunday's game with some confidence and start a little bit better.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it's a very good opportunity for Minnesota catching Chicago in the back-to-back, and Chicago having to travel out to Madison, come back. And you got to play hard against that Madison team. They're not going to give it away.
Yacht's going deep, looking for number 9. You better believe it.
Just spectacular from Yacht. Everybody knows he wants to get open deep, and he still does it. It's a sign of a great player. I mean, it's in the mold of a Bo Kittredge, you might say. This time a little back shoulder fade. And throw is perfect. Yacht doesn't even have to work hard to make the catch. Secures it with 2 hands. And Yacht trying to put up a 10 spot. Got plenty of time to do it. Look at the numbers. Now over 600 yards of offense in the game. Leading the whole game here, not just the Empire. At this point, Philly just needs to start thinking about tomorrow. I just don't know if there's enough time for them to claw back into this game.
9 goals for Yacht, by the way, is his all-time high in an Empire game. That throw near the sideline, incomplete. His career high, he did once score 10 goals in a game for the Minnesota Wind Chill. As this disc goes up, floating, Greg Martin's in position for the block. Back on June 27th, 2014, Charlie, the Wind Chill hosted the Detroit Mechanics and scored 42 goals and won 42-16, and Yacht scored 10 of them.
Well, longer quarters back then.
Yes.
And so, this could be a scoring record in the new quarter time.
Yeah, no one's scoring 42 again in an AUDL game, I don't think.
I think teams might give it a shot against Detroit, but I just don't know if there's enough time on the clock.
The Mechanics, they have won games since that June 2014 game, but not many.
No.
And they've lost 45 straight. The Mechanics off this weekend. Philadelphia in Boston tomorrow, and really has the feel of a must-win game for both those teams.
Well, I got to get a guarantee for you, Evan.
Yeah?
The Detroit Mechanics, they're not going to lose a game this weekend.
I thought it was going to be a bit more bold.
Eisenhood's locks.
What's next? The San Francisco Flamethrowers will not lose a game all season long, said Eisenhood. The Rochester Dragons also undefeated in 2021.
Undefeated in 2021. The Rhode Island Rampage keeping a clean sheet.
Do you have any really old school AUDL gear?
I am very regretful that I do not. I would literally buy Rampage gear if they made it again. Throwback. Put it in the AUDL store.
I feel like I've seen Matt Smith warming up for games in Rampage gear.
I mean, that's
Chris Mazer played for the Connecticut Constitution.
That's going to go for big bucks someday. Don't want to wear it out. But if you go to shop.theaudl.com, might not be able to find Rampage gear, but they've got lots of other options.
Yacht to a wide open Matt Stevens. Bingo.
Empire goal scored by number 17.
Stevens just,
Stevens.
they forgot about him.
It's like a snake in the grass, but there was no snake.
Well, the zone collapsed to Yacht. Little coming under. And then it's just nothing you can do. Stevens wide open.
Let's talk about the New York Empire's upcoming schedule, because it certainly gets tougher. Their next 3 games are all on the road. The next 3 Saturdays, they are at Boston, at Atlanta, and at Tampa Bay. Certainly the Cannons having a tough season, but those first 2, at Boston and at Atlanta, and that's the only meeting of the season between the Empire and the Hustle, so certainly potential tiebreaker implications too.
Huge game, and how huge it will be depends somewhat on what happens this weekend with the Hustle and the Breeze. You know, if the Hustle get a win tomorrow night in the game of the week, you know, they sit at still undefeated, and it makes that game extra important for New York, already sitting with the loss to the Breeze.
Floating this one to the end zone, and by Vogel nearby, but Martin makes the catch in the second effort and delivers the emphatic spike.
6 of the game scored by number 4, Greg Martin.
Greg Martin is having himself a game.
Name to know if you don't know the Phoenix too well.
And we talk a lot about Sean Mott, and Mott's playing well, don't get me wrong, but Martin has been doing a little bit of everything. Can't quite bring that one down first time, but stays with it. Lays out double clap catch. And Bay Vogel does a good job to contest. Force Martin to try to make a play. It's good defense, but better offense. Earned that spike.
Certainly plenty to discuss with assistant coach Nate Venditta.
Martin leading the Phoenix in plus minus. He's got 6 goals after that one. Almost all of his yardage coming downfield, as you would expect.
Travel called on Elliot Chartok.
And stall count's going to be high here too.
Another thing I learned about Chartok in the New York Empire podcast with Dan Hilton, when Chartok, who launches deep to a sprinting Oscar, reset for Stevens.
Good recovery from the Phoenix. Get back downfield, not just give up the easy goal after Osgar caught the huck wide open.
Elliot Chartok, Charlie, when he was in 6th grade, he once won an apple pie by reciting the first 100 digits of pi.
Wow, 100. I think I learned like 6 or 7.
An appropriate prize for that particular accomplishment. Stall called there. Chartok in disbelief. He's like, that was 4 or 5 seconds.
Well, congratulations to Zayla Avant-Garde, who made spelling bee history yesterday, becoming the first Black American to win. She's also a basketball prospect, so a very cool story.
I wish the spelling bee wasn't going head-to-head with Game 2 of the finals, because, look, the finals were my priority, but I would have enjoyed the spelling bee, too. Also was traveling up to New York last night.
The winning word was Mariah. So
good hustle by Eric Nardelli to run down that shot. Would you like to spell it for us?
Well, I'll let people at home think about it for a moment. Can you spell it?
Well, first you got to give us a definition and a language of origin.
I'll give you the definition.
Use it in a sentence.
It's a genus of tropical Asiatic and Australian trees.
Oh, right, yeah.
With pinnate leaves and flowers with imbricated petals.
Yeah.
Mariah. So here it is.
Like, in a sentence, the U24 U.S. national team that won the World Championship in Perth saw Mariah after the tournament.
There you go. Mariah, M-U-R-R-A-Y-A.
I think you're a little too old for next year's spelling bee, unfortunately.
Fun fact, I won my spelling bee in 5th grade. And I went to the regional spelling bee in New Mexico.
And I'm sure you remember the word that you got out on.
I sure do. I was literally just talking about this on Twitter earlier this week after the spelling bee news came out. It was wallaby.
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 It's too bad I'm calling play-by-play and I don't have time to try and spell it for you right now.
I mean, it's an Australian word. I got to get up on my Australian. So Mariah, Australian, wallaby.
Yeah.
I think I put an O instead of the second A.
You'll remember that for the rest of your life.
I will.
It will haunt you.
I mean, it's been, 20 years, and I still remember, so.
Well, there's number 10 for Yacht, matching his career high. He scored 10 of 42 in a game 7 years ago. Tonight he's got 10 of New York's 25. The flurry of Phoenix goals, though, have left one of Lepler's locks hanging in the balance here. Need the Empire defense to get a little stingier in these final 4:15. They can allow one more goal for the lock to stand. Of course, he's not even halfway to the most goals ever scored in a game. I believe Jordan Huston had 21 for the Cannons, 22 for the Cannons late in the 2017 season. Still unbelievable.
I'm trying to look up what the record is for this season, because 10's got to be up there.
I look at all the stat sheets every week. I don't remember someone getting more than 9 goals before tonight, but I certainly could be forgetting somebody. Again, he had 8 goals in 4 games entering the evening. If you go to the AUDL.com, there's just a smorgasbord of statistics, records. It's fascinating to look at. What a play there. Martin, wow, towing the line again. Perhaps the most spectacular of, I believe, his 7 scores tonight.
Well, he's just continuing to work hard out there. Love to see the competitive fire. Be easy not to go for it, and look at this, keeping an eye on the line, getting the toe down. Great play by Martin once again. A little shout out to the crowd. I mean, whether that's a Phoenix fan hanging out in the beer garden or it's an Empire fan giving some love for the 7-goal night for Greg Martin, deserves the hype either way. Leading the Phoenix in yards and, of course, in goals. And he'll try to match this performance tomorrow against Boston.
Got a feeling Sam Rosenthal is contemplating right now who he's going to throw at Martin. Seems like a good matchup for Chris Bartoli, don't you think?
Absolutely. That's the obvious place to start.
By the way, Tanner Johnson probable to return for the Glory tomorrow, which is great news for Boston and not great news for Philly. After turning his ankle in the Glory season opener in Pittsburgh. And Boston will be a very different team getting him back on the O-line.
Oh, it's going to be so much more dynamic. And when Cable comes back, even more so.
Nate Little gets the block, and Ben Yacht throws his first turnover of the night.
Nate Little had some exciting highlights so far this season. Thought we might see a little more from him tonight. But the Empire offense has been sharp.
21-year-old out of Temple will have plenty of moments in the future. Throws this one up. He's saying he got fouled, and I think New York agrees. So the clock will keep ticking here. Matt Stevens called the foul on himself. Nate Little, in the words of Phoenix coach David Hampson, quote, might be the most athletic player I've ever seen. He had a huge debut, hometown kid from West Philly. That shot to the end zone intercepted by Lithio. Yacht. That one's on the money. So Yacht turns it over on the point, but then picks up the assist, connecting with Solomon Ruschemeyer-Bailey.
Plus 14 now on the game, despite the turnover. And New York Empire gets set to move to 4-1. Move into a tie with the DC Breeze for second place. Of course, Atlanta and DC up the top of the standings, playing tomorrow night. Winner of that game will move into first in the Atlantic. And Phoenix getting ready to drop to 2-4, and you can see how important that game against Boston is going to be tomorrow. Trying to stay in that 5 spot after the weekend is over, get their first road win of the year, and at least give themselves a puncher's chance. I mean, the schedule gets better simply because they're going to start playing at home.
Yep.
So they've almost finished up their road games for the year after tomorrow night.
Only road game Philly has left is a trip to DC, and well, the Breeze have had unbelievable crowds so far this year. Phoenix turn it over. 1 minute to go.
That was a crazy block by Jeff Babbitt. He came into the play and then went backwards and somehow got a hand on it. See if the handlers reward him with a little bookends goal.
I'm rooting for New York to take some time off the clock here because the first Lepler's lock is hanging in the balance.
Oh, that's right.
No rush here.
There's a lot on the line on this point.
No rush here, New York. I guess Charles Barkley can get away with getting guarantees wrong all the time. If Chuck can do it, I can too. Hammer to the end zone, and that will work. There are 15.7 seconds left. And if you participated in this week's DraftKings free-to-play pool, these 15 seconds could be the difference between you splitting a share of $1,000 or not. I don't even care about that. I don't want my viewers to think I led them astray.
He told me it was a lock. Here it is again from Babbitt. Take a look at this play. Look at this play from Jeff Babbitt.
Spider-Man.
Incredible awareness, and he's so pumped up that he got the block. And why not? I mean, that's his, he's just got the anticipation. You think about the blocks we usually see from him, going up 11 feet in the air, knock it away, and there he's 6 inches off the ground, scrambling Spider-Man style.
If the Phoenix do not score, Lepler's locks are 3 for 3.
All right, Evan.
10 seconds.
Are they going to shoot it, or are they going to burn the clock?
4, 3.
2 seconds left.
1.
This is it. Oh, you're kidding me.
Oh, he got it.
You're kidding me. Nate Little at the buzzer does me and all my sycophants in.
That's a great catch by Nate Little.
Phoenix get to 20, and the Empire do not hold them under 20, but they win the game 27-20 as New York bounces back, and Philly will turn the page to tomorrow. As dramatic as it gets for a finish to a 7-goal game.
And that's the way you want it to end on the DraftKings Free Friday Frisbee.
Still,
that's what it's all about
still,
with DraftKings.
Two out of 3 Lepler's locks. Not bad.
Not bad. But it's not. You call it a lock. So
alliteration is my downfall here. Pick your player of the game for the New York Empire tonight. You going with Babbitt, Yacht, Brownlee? Who you got?
I thought Brownlee obviously got things going. He's a real catalyst in the first half, but I don't think you can pick anybody other than Ben Yacht tonight. Just making everything work on the offense, and coming away with a 10-goal game. I mean, you're not going to see very many of those this season.
Finishes plus 14 with the turnover. 10 goals, 3 assists, 2 blocks, with 771 total yards. One of the highs we've seen this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a monster performance. Look forward to seeing how it stacks up in the edge stat category. I think it could be one of the biggest numbers that we've seen this season. So, a great performance all around for the Empire, though. I mean, it wasn't like Ben Yacht was bailing them out of a bunch of situations. I mean, the whole O-line played well. Osgar, Williams, Chartok had a great game. And the defense, too. I mean, Jeff Babbitt coming up with some big plays. Marquez Brownlee coming up with some big plays. Feder got the big block.
Yep.
Mbaye Vogel coming out in his first game of the New York Empire and dropping a big flick bomb and then getting a goal later in the game. I mean, this is a team performance, and I think that's what the Empire needed tonight.
Fun night in New Rochelle, New York, home of the 2019 champs. Charlie, before I let you go, give me your pick for Breeze Hustle tomorrow night.
I'm taking the Breeze, baby. Breeze. I think that they are the real deal. I think Atlanta's had a little bit of a soft schedule. Got the win against Raleigh in the first week, but I'm taking the Breeze on the road.
All right, that's tomorrow night. DC at Atlanta, 7 o'clock. From Atlanta, Georgia, Ben Yacht had the ice cream. Nasser Mbaye Vogel had the highlights. Greg Martin had a good game, but Yacht was the king of the night on our DraftKings Free Friday Frisbee. New York bounces back from their first loss in 1,000 days and wins 27-20 over Philly. For Charlie Eisenhood and our entire crew, I'm Evan Lepler saying good night from New York City.